Three,
Three,
two,
two,
one.
one. Hey everyone!
Hey, what's going on?
It's me, Michelle. We're having a heart-to-heart this evening. I bring you once again
Dave Rudbarg. Everybody, by the way, everybody I know makes the long U sound. They go Rudbarg. It's never been. It's Rudbarg. It's
Got
okay.
it.
So
Got it. I
not a
do that
problem.
too.
Not a problem. Everybody does that. So it's cool. My friend Kevin Powell, when I went to see him speak a few weeks ago, he wanted to acknowledge me, and he was standing up front. He knows he's mispronounced it a bunch of times. Anyway, and my friend Dave, how do you say your name? So it's great.
When in doubt, go to the source. I hear you. Thank you for correcting me.
I'm pointing over here that Michelle has us on her computer. I have us on my phone. So we're all over the place.
We are all over the place. We're broadcasting live. And what did I just want to say? I want to thank everyone for being here. I know that you guys often, tune in when Dave and I do this. This is what, our third or fourth?
Yep.
Something like that.
I think this is the third one. The first one was at in 2016.
Right, it was at your place.
And that was at my place on Bleecker Street. I've traveled a bit since then. And then we did one.
Two here, right?
This is the second one we did here.
Yeah, okay.
We did one in that room over there, which is not really as lit, for want of a better phrase.
That's my next home improvement project.
There you go.
Yeah, my light is out, so I'm going to try to replace a dimmer switch.
There you go.
If I could do a faucet, I could do a dimmer switch.
You, that was, we actually had tentatively had this scheduled for a week ago, and Michelle was committed to doing some home improvement stuff around here. And
I had no other choice. I had to cook. I had to clean. I had no faucet. So, yeah, I had to, But, so actually that, the purpose of this heart-to-heart and going live was to have my coaching call live. Dave is my life coach.
Which is very brave. Let me tell you. It's very brave. And here's the other thing. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so that story about me having to replace the faucet is one of the breakthroughs that I've had in my life coaching and in having Dave work with me. Is that, there's a whole mess of stories that I tell myself about what I'm capable of and not capable of. And so that was something that I've always been like, well, I'm too girly girl. So, I need a man to do that for me. And what I proved to myself last week was that not to be like an angry feminist type, but I don't need another person to do that for me. I'm capable of doing it myself. And the only reason I had that...
say, I don't need a man. I'm watching you be all nice and stuff.
The thing is that I don't feel that way. But
I know.
So it was just really an opportunity for me to prove to myself that I can do this. And so if I can do that, then what else can I do? So I'm on a mission now.
Sky's the limit.
Exactly. And hopefully...
Or the dimmer switch.
Yeah. And the ceiling fan. So, so that has been one of my breakthroughs. At this point, this is my coaching time with Dave. He's on the clock right now. So I'm going to let him take the show and we're going to have our conversation. I have my notebook, which I always have with me when we have our conversations because I take notes. And as I'm experiencing things throughout the week in between our calls, I kind of pop into my notebook and I see where maybe in a previous call we had a gem that I can use or, take away or, to remind myself.
So I guess one of the things, because we're doing this live, so we want to, acknowledge the presence of hopefully hundreds, if not thousands of Facebook viewers and wherever else this gets streamed. I guess the whole idea about where my coaching is coming from is not the idea of giving advice, or fixing or changing someone. Michelle is somebody who has done a lot of transformational educational work and has coached people herself. So it's not like she doesn't have to be fixed. She's a pretty exceptional human being on a lot of levels.
Thank
you. You are. And the thing to watch for is that when you get really educated in a particular subject, you actually think you know something. And that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is, and you were not aware of this, but one of the things that I've taken on in the last week is actually saying to somebody, a client, what would you like to start off with? Number one, do you just want to talk uninterrupted? And like, that's what you want to do for the 45 minutes or an hour. You just want to talk. You don't want coaching, blah, blah, blah. Or do you want to talk for the whole time and I can ask clarifying questions to make sure that I'm getting everything? And number three is, are you ready to hear what, after you say what's so, are you ready to hear what what I see, what my perception is,
Right.
So,
And that's also generally the format that I follow with my clients too.
Absolutely.
I also like to put in at the beginning of the conversation. So what do you want to just get off your chest, off your mind, out of the space so that it's not kind of hovering in, or like lingering in our background. So anyway, that's just
good. So what would be there for you?
Right now, to begin, I'm actually really excited about this because when I first started my coaching with you, which was March, I think it was a couple weeks in where I said I wanted to do this, where eventually I wanted to have a live coaching call, via my heart-to-heart page. And there were several reasons why I wanted to do that. One was because that's a huge obstacle for me. Believe it or not, sharing myself authentically with people is an obstacle for me. It's a challenge. And so I have seen where that has just broken up for me huge in major ways. I mean, this weekend I was out and I found myself asking questions of people and engaging in conversation with people. And that's just not the way I was. This, is new for me. So.
Where were you?
What? Where was I? In my head.
No. I mean,
where was I? I was at a community event for the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which I'm very active with, as much as I try to be. And
why?
Why am I active with because I'm proud to be Puerto Rican and from Jersey City. So,
Is there something special about being a Puerto Rican woman that you celebrate?
You know what? Knowing what I know about my culture and my history, what was instilled in me, I just feel it so profoundly, like to the depth of my soul that, I just, any opportunity that I get to celebrate that, even if it's here cooking or listening to music while I'm cleaning or, participating in community.
And there are videos of her cooking and they're amongst my favorites. Every once in a while they pop up again. Spinning around.
I gotta do one of me cleaning, listening to my salsa. That one would be good. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I was at this event and, I was talking to someone that I've known for years and I just never bothered to ask questions of this person. I really know who they were. And what I got was that
message.
Yeah.
How many of you know people but don't know them? Awesome. Please
so I just what I got in our conversation was that he and I actually have a lot of the same views in life and values. And given our upbringing, if two people were to see us, and who we are and where we come from and what he does and what I do, they would think that it's two totally opposite, sets of values, and really it's not. So that was huge for me. And that was just this weekend. I also had a breakthrough in how I handle anger.
Would anyone like to hear about that?
No, nobody wants to hear about that.
I would.
So I'm not going to get into details to protect the innocent, but
which is not me.
It's not me. Actually, I was confronted with someone who was expressing themselves in a way that they were just letting it out. They were venting. I got from the minute I picked up on that none of that had anything to do with me. Absolutely. And so that I didn't have to respond in the same way as I was being approached. And, you know, I kept asking the question that I needed to ask: what do you need from me in order to help with the situation? Brilliant. I just kept asking the same question because really there was no other way for me to respond. And that for me was huge.
What did you learn about yourself? Not only how you handle anger, but how you allow yourself to get angry or not.
So yeah, so what I got was that I don't allow myself to get angry, and as a result, when I'm confronted with anger, I then do more of the same. Like I'm like, oh, if you're angry, then I'm gonna get angry, you know, and it just it becomes a vicious cycle. I've gotten real comfortable. I've thought about where my fear of anger comes from, because that's what it is. It's fear of anger. I don't like when people are angry with me. I don't like to express my anger to people because I'm just afraid of anger all around. And what I got is that it's a human emotion. Everyone's entitled to feel it. It's not the most effective emotion to operate under, but allow yourself to feel it and really get with what is it that's making you angry. Get with the story surrounding that emotion. And so I feel like I was able to be with someone's anger, their anger at me specifically, and just really listen to what they were saying. I heard it all as needs, and that's why I just kept saying,
the reason we're smiling is because one of the things, and it's taken her a minute to finish the book. I'm not sure if she's finished it yet.
No, not yet. Almost.
Not yet. But when I take on a client, there are two books that I highly, highly, highly recommend. And one of them is The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman.
Amazing.
And the other one is Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg.
Yes, another amazing
because that really, what Michele pointed to in the way she was hearing it, you can either hear someone's anger as personal and an attack on you, or you can hear it as an expression, as Marshall Rosenberg says in Nonviolent Communication, as an expression of unmet needs, which is great.
Yeah. So I got that, and like I said, what I got was that after the conversation, I was like, wow, I was really, I'm not gonna say comfortable with what happened, but I was able to be with it and not aggravate it or you know, feed into it. So yeah, needless to say, at the end of the day, the problem got solved, and so in any case, so yeah, so those are kind of the things that have opened up for me. And
what else did you learn about anger? Like you said, you don't like to get angry.
I don't like to get angry because when I get angry, it's ugly. The times I've gotten angry, like really ugly things have been said, and I do not like who I am when I'm angry.
Okay.
Yeah. I play dirty. It gets dirty.
I'll tell you why I think it gets dirty. Here's one of the things. When our relationship to anger is that it is okay, and number one. And number two, to keep the anger framed in a way that has us go, hey, I don't like this. When you do this, I experience it this way, and I don't enjoy that.
Right.
And I would really, really prefer you not do that.
Right.
In the future. Are you willing to take on not doing that, because it's really a problem? Go ahead.
No, that's like, you're communicating a need. There's a need behind the emotion. And so if we can get beyond the emotion or get to the core of what's inciting that and then communicate that need, then that anger is now productive, because I'm using that energy to really emphasize, I don't like this. And, like you said, can I count on you to not continue that behavior, doing that thing or whatever?
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you something. In my experience, I've had a number of clients recently who've been battling severe depression. And one of the things that I noticed with one of them is when I gave him an opportunity to express his anger in the most classic way, and I'm not going to use the language here, but basically, what you would say to somebody when you're really angry. It's 2 words, and it's not happy birthday. And there are a lot of withheld blanks that people walk around with.
Yeah.
And I think that, anger is clean. Hostility that's where I think that's part of what I wanted to say was that I think the ugliness that you talk about is because you got that the anger you're experiencing
is held
not
on
it's not for them.
Years and years,
it's somebody
hundreds
who
of
reminds you.
people,
Absolutely.
and little situations, and absolutely. So I have
message. Yeah.
In the last, I want to say, so we've been coaching since March, but I want to
Mhm.
say in the last 3 months, since about April, I have been digging to see where a lot of this anger and fear comes from, and I've been able to pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're talking about almost 40 years of fixed behavior. And I get at this point that this isn't something that's going to, I got it, and now tomorrow I start being a whole new Michelle because I know where the anger and fear came from. Yeah, that anger and fear has been telling the story of my life for the past almost 40 years. And so it's going to take some time for me to catch myself, be aware, put in what the new way of being or behavior, possibility based on the work that we've done, is, and then just be in action on that. And, it's not always easy. I've slipped a couple times, but it's that constant awareness that, and the patience, really.
And here's the other thing that, along the way that I've discovered about myself and about other people is we really love the familiar.
Oh, yeah.
We really like familiar. Even if it sucks, we really like the familiar. So it's like, if you notice in your life that there's stuff that doesn't work, and yet you keep doing it, and yet you keep thinking it, well, why can't I? Well, it's familiar. 40 years of a mindset that says anger is bad. Michelle has to be a good girl and nice, because that's really the only way she'll be able to survive in this world is just by being really nice.
Yeah.
She's Puerto Rican. All right, and
we're nice. Don't mess with us.
But listen.
Don't mess with me. Hold me back, Dave.
Listen, y'all. You really got it. You really, really want to get this. Fire. There's fire. Caliente, fire. It's hot.
So talking about comfort zones, there's a popular saying, right, that says that comfort zones are great, but nothing grows there. So it's almost like, I almost liken it to like, okay, if you have a garden, you have to place your garden properly, If you're gonna have a part of your garden that's like in a shaded area, then make sure you plant things there that don't need sunshine, because otherwise they're not gonna grow. Right. So comfort zones are great. They're familiar, like Dave said. So especially in situations that are new, um, we tend to cling to what we know, and we don't realize that on the other side of that comfort zone is our life, and our entire life.
And by the way, just note that if we were doing this session privately and we're on the phone, she used the word we, I would stop her and go, who? And have her say, I.
Yeah.
Because when you hear people, when I'm having a conversation with somebody and they'll go, well, don't you think most people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not interested in that having a conversation. How does it impact you? Yeah. So that's great. And so the person that you had the issue with, that it got resolved?
It did.
There's an interesting
I know.
way of phrasing it.
It did with another person.
How many people were engaged in this conversation?
It was a family affair. So
got it.
But needless to say, I will be having the conversation with that person to clean things up. The last time I saw them, everything was fine.
Yeah.
So I think it was just, again, a moment of frustration, anger. Maybe I was just this is another thing, and it's not an excuse, but sometimes people just and I know this might sound real convoluted, but I think that humans do this a lot, and maybe even me. No, definitely me. I'm going to take responsibility.
Thank you.
I do it. It's easy for us to lash out at the closest people to us.
Sorry, who is it?
It's easy for me to lash out at the people closest to me, because I know that they love me unconditionally, and there's almost this feeling like, well, I can F up as many times as I want because they're always going to forgive me, until that doesn't work. And then, so I'm just really conscious and aware.
By the way, anybody who's watching this, I don't see a whole lot of hearts and stuff coming up on this thing. So if you're identifying with this, you better be like, and number one. And number two, if you know that this conversation is important, hit share and have it be on your pages also, okay? Because this is a big deal. So go ahead. So
yeah, so with that same understanding that I would do something like that, I just allow for other people to show up that way too, because that's something else that I have a tendency to do. As soon as I catch myself judging someone, or jumping to conclusions, or creating a story about why they're doing what they're doing or saying or how they're behaving, I can immediately think of at least 5 instances where I did exactly the same thing. Yeah. And it's just it's become so automatic with me. It's like, check yourself. And come from that place of, I get it, I understand, and again, so what do you need? And maybe see what my needs are that have me be that way. Maybe. Absolutely. And communicate those.
See, for those of you who are watching, there you go. Thank you. Thank you for the hearts. We're like, what the heck? See, here's what I want to point out to the people who are watching, or are going to be watching this video. Part of the reason to have a coach, or to have anybody who can listen to you in a particular way, is that I have a coach. Shout out to Ed Bulky. You can't see your own stuff. Mm-hmm. You just can't. It's here, and we're going, I'm fine. This hand has been in front of my face all my life. I'm good. It's not a problem. And family is deep. Mm-hmm. Family is deep. It takes a lot to be able to change the way family relates to one another. And unfortunately, the bad news for Michele is that she messed up and hired a coach. So when she has a conversation with me about it, I don't go, well, must be everybody else's problem. You know?
Yeah.
So if those of you who are listening to this conversation, take a look for yourself. Who is it in your life, in your family, that you just know how they are? You know how they are. They are that way. They just are that way and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like it to be some other way? Because it sounds like this is the beginning of certain people in your family actually meeting you for the first time. Like they've met the you know, what they call the various courses, you know, strong suit or winning formula, or what's the Chris Rock line, when you meet somebody for the first time, you're not meeting them, you're meeting their representative. Well, some of y'all been bringing your representative everywhere, all the time. This is my representative.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it's and then a lot of us, when we're running around this world, say, I just want to meet somebody who'll love me for me.
And then you don't show them you. You show them somebody else.
Or you show them the version of you.
The good parts of you. Because if they love the good parts, then they'll love to learn to love the rest, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way.
No. What else has been going on?
There was actually... what's been going on this week for me? So many things have been coming up. I talked about how I kind of got present to the story of the last 40 years, how it relates to anger and fear, and so kind of working through that and acknowledgement.
Can I ask you what the fear? You talked about the anger, which is great. What's the fear about?
It was actually a very real fear, and I'll share the story. So I was about 4 or 5 years old, and we lived on the corner of 7th and Jersey, and it was a hot summer day like today, most likely a Sunday, and we used to go up to the lake up in Bear Mountain. We'd load up my dad's Suburban. My uncle would come with a typical Puerto Rican trip, 20 people to the lake. It was great. And so we got back late at night, and when we got home, they had broken into the apartment. And they stole a whole bunch of my mom's jewelry, and it was just a whole big thing. They called the cops and whatever. I just really remember my mom being upset because there was a particular medallion that I think my uncle had given her, or my great grandmother or something, and so that went with the. But anyway, and again, I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and for some reason, I just became so fearful, I didn't feel safe anymore. And I clearly remember when that became very real for me, because this was maybe a couple days later. I ran to the grocery store with my sister, with my older sister and my dad. And they ran into the store and they left me in the car. And this is late 70s, early 80s, so that was probably nothing, right? There was no seatbelts back then. People smoked around their kids, whatever. So anyway, so it was late at night. They left me in the car while they ran into the grocery store. And I remember not feeling safe in the car by myself. And I hid under, it was a Suburban, so it was couches, the front seat and the back seat were couches. So I remember just getting off the seat and hiding on the floor so that nobody would see me and nobody would steal me. And it was such a profound sense of fear. And so then, once I saw that they were coming to the car, I sat in my seat and I was, fine. But I distinctly remember feeling that, again, profound sense of fear. And right now, me telling the story, I still kind of feel it here. It doesn't own me anymore, so to speak.
Yeah,
but
sorry, just hit dismiss.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my
it doesn't own me anymore, but it's something that I guess was just pervasive. Always in the background, always underlying other events that did instill real fear, and so it was just heightened now, you know. And so this has just been all my life, and so that's something that I just got present to this week. Yeah, in my digging.
Wow. Yeah.
But again, the reason why I identify these events is because now that I'm aware of that, when I'm in a situation where I feel that fear rise up, I get present to, I'm not 4 years old sitting in a Suburban anymore. I'm a 44-year-old woman who needs to communicate something. And so that's the present, real situation. And so this is what needs to happen. The communication needs to be delivered. Not, I'm going to hide under the seat of a Suburban because I'm afraid, which is what I've been figuratively doing in my life all along for 40 years.
Message.
We need to have lights.
How many of you have been hiding in your life in some way, shape, or form? You know? Yeah.
So yeah, again, it's just awareness. I mean, you know, can I go back and fix that 4-year-old? I mean, yeah, maybe if I go to therapy, but I know now, you know, and if I go, I mean, if it was that serious, but like, if I just go through life with this awareness, like I said, when I feel that fear, I can just check in real quick. What is this? Is this real fear? Is there a man coming at me with a knife or a woman coming at me with a bat? That's real fear. You know what I mean? But this just constant, like I said, pervasive, underlying, will it ever go away? I don't know. But in the meantime, I'm not going to let it run my life.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very great.
Yeah.
What else? I'm just curious about, what do you think, you know, you have lots and lots of women friends who are a big deal to you.
Yes.
And what is it that you want them to know? Like what they used to call in a course that I was associated with, a megaphone moment. Like, what would be like a megaphone moment for you, maybe to tell women or to tell men? As a matter of fact, you know what? We'll start with boys. Give you an opportunity.
A megaphone moment?
A megaphone moment.
Okay.
To say to men, by the way, in case nobody's told you, some shout outs to what you'd like men to know that they may not be aware of about dealing with women, Puerto Rican women.
Oh, gosh. So, if I had a megaphone, this is my megaphone, and I have a message for men, is that one, I get that you're human beings like us, and I get that you have emotions too, and I get that you have thoughts and fears and trepidations and, you know, all kinds of stuff because you're human beings. And
Is it and or is it but?
No, it's and.
Okay,
I get that you're human beings just like us, and there's no need for you to show up as someone stronger or greater or more accomplished, or just come as you are. When you're dealing with whoever you're dealing with in life, whether it's your family, a significant other, someone you're trying to get to know better, a job, like anything, I think that society puts a lot of undue pressure on men to just be provider and this and strong, and it's just be human. I've just gotten really present to how much more I appreciate that. So yeah. And for women, and this is something that I've often said, a lot of my girlfriends will vouch for it, don't always think that you're right. You're not always right. Your man is a human being just like you, with emotions and fears and thoughts, and he may not express that, but create the space where he feels comfortable being that and doing that. and don't always put that pressure on him. Take onus for where you're maybe contributing to a situation that's good or great or bad or whatever you're labeling it or whatever you're going through. And for human beings, conquer the fear and say the things that need to be said. Conquer the fear and say the things that need to be said, because that can be the one thing that will just, no matter how good or great something is, could just break it all down. So, and be open to what's being said, not judging it or yourself. Yeah.
And hope you all got that.
You got your notebooks?
What do you want to let people know about like, for example, I think that I'm speaking as you. I think you probably had the impression that I'm this. I'm really this, and I'd like you to know, I'd like you to listen to me and to interact with me this way. That's right, I'm not just good looking.
Yeah. So you all have probably had the impression that I know it all, or that I'm like super smart, intelligent, and I'm not saying I'm not, but a lot of that impression has to do with how I come off and how I present myself. Definitely a strong suit. And what I really am is just a normal human being trying to be liked and trying to be loved, partly so that I can feel safe. Yeah, there's a huge need to feel safe. And so, what was that last piece?
So, how would you like people to listen?
And so, how would I like people to listen to me is the way that I'm learning to listen to people, which is with no judgment. And when I say no judgment, I say no judgment of myself for how I'm hearing something.
Well, when you say no judgment, do you mean no negative judgment?
Well, just no judgment, period. Okay. Like, so in other words, if I say, I'm going on vacation next week, some people might be like, oh my God, that's great. She works so hard. Yeah, that's great. But there are people that work hard and they don't get to go on vacation. So, you know what I mean? Like, even that for me is, right, like a judgment. That doesn't say anything about my work ethic or how I live my life or anything, you know? Like I said, I know people that work harder than I do, I think, and just have so many accomplishments. If they were to put them all down in a resume, they don't go on vacation all the time. So, again, like, just whatever judgment is, just, so yeah, because I feel like, again, there might be a lot of airs that get put on just so that I can have that space where I'm loved. And what I'm getting right now in me saying that is how that's blocking people from actually, oh my God, you see what I mean? This is why we need coaching. Well, yeah. When you're not being your authentic, when I'm not being my authentic self with people, and I'm just like, oh, look at me, I know it all. Yes, I know how to do that. No problem. Ain't no thing. Yeah, right? I'm not showing you the other side of that, which is like, oh my God, how am I going to get this done? I'm so busy. I got to do research, like, and I feel like I want to be that person around people. I want to be able to say, oh my God, this is going to be really difficult, but you know what? I'm going to take it on because I want to help, or I want to contribute, or I want to, whatever my reason is for contributing. So what I want you to know in my interaction is that a lot of times, whatever you're thinking about me may not necessarily be so. And if you think otherwise, talk to me about it. What I'm taking on is um, to be more authentic with people in my interactions with them. And if I'm feeling a moment of weakness, what I judge as weakness, I'm going to communicate that so that people know where I'm coming from at all times. And who knows, maybe I'll get some support. What? What? Who needs support? No, nobody needs support. Especially not me.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, and this is one of the things about a coaching call also, is that I don't know how other coaches be on a call, but certainly say what because I don't even remember what did you write
You
down?
have the impression that I am,
Okay.
when in reality I am.
I'll do it also, and I'll say you may have the impression that I'm a very successful coach and I really know what I'm talking about, and I have everything handled in my life.
Yeah.
It's all true. It's so not true. One of the things is that as you can see, I think, and a lot of people, Michelle has been very generous with her talking about my coaching, Gordon Chambers, there's a bunch of people, Rachel Huff Smith, a whole bunch of folks have written just beautiful, beautiful things about what my coaching provides for them. At the same time, there's a part of me that's terrified to break out of the particular niche and the particular paradigm that I have for myself. And so, number one, I need lots of clients. I have a pretty good coaching practice right now. I could definitely use more, no question about it, number one. Number two, I also, as you see, I'm not really shy in front of a camera or in front of people. So I'd like to do as much of this as possible, podcasts, speaking engagements, all those things. As a matter of fact, this Thursday night, we'll be opening the doors at 6:30. We'll be starting at 7, from 7 to 9. I'm going to do, we have only room for 20, 25 people tops to come in and get coached. 2 hours of basic talking about 3 basic words. Right, 3, just want to make sure. Stop, look, listen. And the whole idea of really starting to get aware of how you listen, how you look at people, the filter, to take a page from Landmark, the filter from which you view everything. So when I do, and by the way, here's the other thing that you may not be aware of. Most of you are not aware of this. My background is that I grew up feeling really terrible about myself and feeling very alone, very alone. And I always point to one incident when I was 16, I think, and I had a birthday party and nobody came. So for me, there's also, a lot of you know that I'm also a singer, and, shout out to Sid Moskowitz and everybody who's putting together the blues festival that I'll be singing at this Saturday afternoon. But the point is to have the courage to do a Facebook Live, to have the courage to be public about wanting to make a difference, to have the courage to be vulnerable to do these things is, although I it looks wonderful, it's still a victory over the past every time I do it. And I've also, what was so I request also that the way I want you to listen to me is like I'm somebody who welcomes contribution. And if you have a resource that I'm unaware of, bring it. Please bring it.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able, there's, a lot of you also know that I sit almost every Thursday, including this coming Thursday, in Bryant Park with my friend Liz Gannon-Graydon at what we've come to call the Beloved Community Tea Party. And part of the thing that makes it so extraordinary is that people will walk by and go, "Are you having a tea party?" We'll be like, "Yeah, you want to come sit down and have a cup of tea?" And being able to talk to people. And I learned from Liz, rather than asking people the question, "So what do you do?"
I do what it takes. I saw a meme today that said that.
I
was
saw
person.
That. Yeah,
so what do you do? Me, I do what it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, that doesn't really introduce much possibility.
Absolutely.
But the thing that Liz asks often is, so what is it important for us to know about you?
Yeah, that's so...
Very, very different.
That's so different than what do you do. Yeah, because even that, there are a lot of people that the automatic response would be, I'm going to tell them what my job is, what I get paid to do, right? Every 2 weeks.
Right.
Then you have a small percentage that get that a job is just a job that pays the bills, and maybe what they do is, well, I'm a yoga instructor, and I may only teach 2-3 classes a week,
But that's how I see myself.
Right. So when you phrase the question that way, what is it? What's important?
What is it important for us to know about you?
That's so profound. That totally just puts it in a different way, and so the other person gets to create who they are, and that's what you get as a result. Yeah, that's amazing.
So I think that as we start to wrap this up, because it's been 45 minutes, which is pretty extraordinary. What do you want to say about the experience here? What do you want to say to be complete? What do you want to say to...
I am really glad that I shared this with everyone. This is huge for me. So, and I want to thank everyone that tuned in. And this is going to be shared. So whoever watches after this, for those that couldn't join us live, this was really huge for me. And I think that the people that really, really know me get that. And the ones that think they know me don't. So all I can say is,
by the way, you're probably the same person. In case you aren't aware of that. There's a whole bunch of stuff, trust me, that, I'll be, when I write my expose, when she's big and famous and all that, I'll be like, Michele.
Yeah, I'm working through a lot of stuff, guys. Like I said, 40 years of a certain way of being that I got present to over the last 3 months. And so it's just been a battle, but I'm doing it. And so I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I'm glad that you mentioned your event on Thursday. That's this Thursday. Stop, Look, and Listen. I will share the flyer and the information so you can send your payment. The tea party is Thursday.
Tea party
I might just be there because I'm getting together with my sorority sister and her children, and so that would be great.
This week I will only be there from noon till about 5.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that we have some other special folks coming, and just so you know, check with me to make sure, because, for example, in a week Liz will not be there. She does, by the way, shout out, Liz has a wonderful nonprofit organization called What Better Looks Like, and she does a lot of stuff around peace work, and so she's going up to lead an event in Vermont
Awesome.
the following week.
Okay.
But yeah, so
So, and then what else? Something else that I just wanted to add was to kind of relate to what you shared about your coaching, and how even though you're in this coaching thing, and you still have your own fears and thoughts and what
Sure.
have you, and you don't let them get in the way. I mean, I started my coaching journey a couple years ago through Landmark, but my own venture because somebody else saw that quality in me and was like, "Why don't you do this?" And I was like, "I'm already doing it. Why not?" I just got a call today to do more coaching with the program where I got, and she threw out their head coach possibilities. So I'm just like, you just, I guess when you're in that space of just, like I said, remove that fear. Or you don't even have to remove it. Just acknowledge that it's there and then just leave it there. You don't have to remove it. You don't have to
who has
just,
to?
I don't have to remove it. I can just leave the fear there. It's been there for 40 years. Chances are it's not going there, but I don't have to act inside of that fear. I can act outside of that, and that's when people really start to see who I really am. That's when they start to see head coach. That's when they start to see my coach. That's when they start to see manager, friends, confidants, lover. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. So, for me, this is first of all, looking at myself the whole time.
I know, right?
Really
On
bizarre.
devices.
Really bizarre, and
There's like 6 people here.
and the fact that I'm comfortable looking at myself is pretty great, because that wasn't always true. And it's just, I think for me, coaching is, as a coach, is an opportunity to have somebody listen to me the way I really want to be listened to. Like that what I have to say is valuable and means something and connects. It's also a huge gift to not have it deflected. And, I know for a lot of us, somebody who wants to make a difference for you, and you find ways to kind of go, nope, 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 that's not true. No, you don't know me. And I've been very, 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 very blessed in terms of having you as a client, because I don't think I'm sort of rewinding the tape of every conversation we've had. And, some of them have explored areas that were not pleasant.
Yeah.
And at no point did you ever go, well, you're just wrong. And that takes a lot of heart and a lot of courage to be able to do that.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. So that's basically it.
That's what a coaching conversation sort of, kind of, pretty much 95% of the time looks like. Dave, thank you again so much for taking the time to create this with me. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. I hope you all have an awesome evening, a wonderful night, and share this video if you feel like you got something out of it or others will get something out of it.
Yeah, and by the way, just so you know, my website is, I'm on Facebook, obviously, Dave Rudbarg, or CoachMeDave / Get Relationship Coaching. You can message me or whatever. I'm also all over social media, Dave Rudbarg on Twitter, Instagram. I've never figured out the value of Snapchat, so I'm not going to go on there. But I just, I'm very, very blessed. And, and so, thank
Have
you.
a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.